The 34th Armoured Brigade was an armoured brigade of the British Army that saw active service in World War II. It was formed in 1941 as the 34th Army Tank Brigade and subsequently redesignated as the 34th Tank Brigade in February 1945 and became part of the 79th Armoured Division. It was equipped with Churchill tanks and provided close support for assaults by the infantry. During the fighting in northwest Europe from July 1944 to May 1945, the brigade served with both the 1st Canadian Army and the British 2nd Army. The brigade was disbanded in early 1946. History. The brigade was formed on 1 December 1941 as one of 10 independent Army Tank Brigades to be equipped with Churchill tanks. In June 1942, the word Army was dropped from the brigade's title and it became part of the 1st Mixed Infantry Division. The 34th Tank Brigade was transferred to the 43rd Mixed Infantry Division in September 1942, and in September 1943 it returned to independent status, when the concept of mixed divisions was abandoned. The first 2.5 years of the brigade's existence were spent in training in the south of England, and it saw its first active service in the Normandy bridgehead. Advance parties departed to Normandy on D+10, but the entire brigade was not gathered together in France until early July 1944. Its first combat was in support of the 15th Infantry Division in Operation Green Line from 15 to the 18th of July, to enlarge the Odin bridgehead and advance beyond Hill 112. The German opposition held a strong position, and 153rd Regiment Royal Armoured Corps suffered particularly severe casualties, including its commanding officer. Overall, the brigade lost 30 officers and 156 other ranks in this action. The brigade continued in active service in Normandy until late August, after a 14-day rest and reorganization, and now under the 1st Canadian Army. The brigade crossed the River Seine on 4 September to prepare to assault Le Havre. On arrival outside Le Havre on 6 September, the brigade came under command of 49th Infantry Division, who were to assault Le Havre from the northeast and east. The defender's morale was low despite impressive defense works, and victory was completed on 12 September with minimal casualties. A troop of 7th Royal Tank Regiment, without infantry, had entered the fort at 11:30 am and had captured Oberst Hermann Eberhard Wildermuth, the garrison commander, his whole staff and 400 prisoners. Around this time, the Allied Army's supply lines were under great stress due to the lack of usable ports, and the brigade's transport was added to the supply chain. For the front line in Belgium, the brigade as such was effectively grounded and out of action. By the 18th of September, the brigade was concentrated about midway between Gep and Rouen. On the 29th of September, still lacking its transport, the brigade's 300 Churchills, heavily loaded with munitions, moved on tracks northwards for 3 days to Desvres, near Boulogne. On the 2nd of October, 1 regiment, 7th Royal Tank Regiment, was detached to assist the containment of Dunkirk by 51st Infantry Division, where it took an active and successful part in the siege. By the 6th of October, the brigade had reached the Eindhoven area, and all regiments were immediately deployed into the front line. In February 1945, 34th Armoured Brigade provided armoured support to infantry units during the Battle of the Reichswall, in ground conditions that caused more damage to its tanks than the enemy. After the Rhine crossings, the brigade saw no further active service in Europe and was in preparation for transfer to Southeast Asian theatre when the war ended. Commanders The 34th Armoured Brigade had just two commanding officers, Brigadier J.N. Tetty until June 1943 and then Brigadier W.S. Clark, who commanded the brigade until it was disbanded in 1946. Order of battle. 1 December 1941, Brigade Headquarters, North Irish Horse, 147th Regiment Royal Armoured Corps. Brigade Headquarters, 147th Regiment Royal Armoured Corps, 151st Regiment Royal Armoured Corps, renamed in December 1943 as 107th Regiment Royal Armoured Corps, 153rd Regiment Royal Armoured Corps. 4th of September 1944, shortly after the 15th of August 1944, 153 RAC were disbanded and the men and materiel were used to make up losses in the remaining regiments in the brigade. Brigade Headquarters, 107th Regiment Royal Armoured Corps, 147th Regiment Royal Armoured Corps Infantry Division until end September, 7th Royal Tank Regiment.